7 will protect the privacy and safeties of individuals seeking gender-affirming health care in California by requiring warrants for out-of-state law enforcement requests through the state's prescription drug management program system, establishing that accessing or knowingly sharing that health data without a warrant to unauthorized parties is punishable as a misdemeanor, expanding California's transgender shield law, SB 107 from 2022, to prohibit healthcare providers from complying with subpoenas requiring the disclosure of medical information relating to gender-affirming care, and protecting teachers who are affirming of their transgender students. Colleagues, we've seen, unfortunately, in this country, it's been growing for years, and this administration has poured lighter fluid on it, vicious attacks on transgender people, efforts to prevent people from accessing health care, and efforts to criminalize particularly the families of trans people and their healthcare providers. It is absolutely terrifying for the trans individuals, for their families, for anyone who supports them. And it's really important for California to step up and have trans people's backs and their families' backs and their healthcare providers' backs. And particularly now that it's not just other states, but it's the federal government engaging in these vicious attacks. It's really important for us to strengthen our shield law to make clear that California is not going to in any way facilitate the enforcement of other states' hateful laws or hateful executive orders unless we are absolutely compelled to by the United States Constitution. And we need to ensure that our cures database is not going to be abused to target folks who are obtaining gender-affirming care. With that, I respectfully ask for your aye vote. With me today is Craig Pulsifer with Equality California and Jonathan Clay on behalf of Alliance for Trans Youth Rights.
Good morning, Mr. Vice Chair and members. Craig Pulsifer on behalf of Equality California, proud co-sponsor of this bill. In 2022, we were proud to partner with Senator Wiener on SB 107 to make California a state of refuge for trans youth and their families who are being targeted by states who are attempting to criminalize gender-affirming care. And since then, these attacks have only escalated. Over 24 states across the country have now banned gender-affirming care for trans youth. And under the Trump administration, the federal government has launched a full-scale assault on trans people, including directing federal agencies to restrict access to gender-affirming care nationwide and even criminalize healthcare providers who offer this essential care. SB 497 is a critical next step to ensure that California remains a safe haven, not only for trans youth, but for all trans people and their doctors being targeted by extremist lawmakers across the country. This bill ensures that sensitive prescription data in the state's cures database cannot be accessed without a valid court order and makes unauthorized access or disclosure of that information a misdemeanor. It also prohibits providers and health plans from cooperating with out-of-state investigations to penalize people for receiving or providing care that is entirely legal in this state. I want to emphasize the need for this bill could not be more urgent. Attorney General Bondi recently announced that she intends to establish a nationwide surveillance network targeting hospitals and clinics who offer health care to trans youth and criminalize any doctors who continue to provide this care. And just last week, the Department of Justice issued subpoenas demanding confidential patient information from more than 20 doctors and hospitals that provide health care to trans youth. Understandably, we hear from doctors every week who are terrified they'll be arrested and face criminal prosecution simply for doing their jobs. SB 497 sends a clear message that California will not be complicit, and we will protect healthcare providers and everyone who comes here seeking medically necessary care, and respectfully urge your aye vote.
Good morning, Mr. Vice Chair, committee members. Jonathan Clay here on behalf of Trans Family Support Services and the Alliance for Trans Youth, proud to also be co-sponsors on SB 497. Trans Family Support Services works with over 3,500 households in California and across the country, providing supportive services for trans youth and their families. And I'm here to talk about why bills such as SB 497 are so needed in our current society. Whether it's executive orders, or state-level legislation, there's a concerted effort to stop health care for trans people, and not just youth. And those efforts don't just stop at limiting necessary health care, but now even try to criminalize those that provide the care, whether a doctor, a medical system, or even parents. Let that sink in for a sec here. There are states trying to criminalize parents doing what they and their children think is in their own best interest. SB 497 is vital because it prevents the weaponization and sharing of personal health information. Without safeguards, personal health information can be used as a tool to harass, forcibly out, and otherwise harm trans people, their families, and medical providers. As described by Senator Wiener, SB 497 puts into place protections to ensure private medical information remains private and also provides protections for providers to ensure that we maintain critical access to healthcare for trans people. SB 497 helps to ensure that California remains a place where anyone can call home and thrive. I will just conclude with this. Our families are scared. Providers of medical care for trans people are scared. Medical systems are being threatened and forced to make political and financial decisions that aren't in the interest of providing supportive health care. SB 497 helps to provide protections in order to ensure that health care for every Californian is available. I urge your aye vote for this important measure. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And anyone in support, please come up, name, organization, and position, please.
Gwen Gunheim on behalf of La Defensa in support.
Hello, Keely O'Brien with Western Center on Law and Poverty, proud to be in support.
Hello, Symphony Barbie on behalf of Planned Parenthood Affiliates of California, proud co-sponsors in support.
Hi, Yadi Yancey with Oakland Privacy and Support.
Chair and members, Kathy Mossberg with the San Francisco AIDS Foundation and APLA Health, both in support.
Sumaya Nahar on behalf of the California Association of Marriage and Family Therapists in support.
Ryan Spencer on behalf of the American College of OBGYNs, District 9, in support.
Christopher Sanchez on behalf of Asian Americans Advancing Justice, Southern California, in support.
Club Madden representing the California chapter of the American College of Emergency Physicians in support.
Mr. Chair and members, Malik Bynum with the County Behavioral Health Directors Association in support.
Yahaira Hernandez with the California Immigrant Policy Center in support.
Brittany Stonecipher with Kaiser Advocacy on behalf of Electronic Frontier Foundation in support.
Joshua Stickney with the Ella Baker Center for Human Rights in strong support.
Good morning, Chair members. Mari Lopez with the California Nurses Association in support.
Nora Angeles with Children Now in support.
Aubrey Rodriguez with ACLU California Action and proud support.
All right, anyone in opposition? Please come up to the table. You both will be sharing 5 minutes.
Hello, my name is Layla Jane. I'm a detransitioner. Last time I testified in opposition to this bill, Senator Wiener claimed that what happened to me is rare, that there is a moral panic, that only a microscopic number of children are undergoing gender interventions, and that anyone who is saying otherwise is a liar. Look at my chest. I matter. At the age of 12, I was approved for a double mastectomy, and I went under the knife a couple weeks after I turned 13. Listen to my voice. Testosterone did this. My vocal cords are so large, I can't scream. I have difficulty speaking sometimes. Don't you dare trivialize what happened to me and lie to Californians that this isn't happening. I am one of thousands, and this bill is designed to hide the ever-growing number of kids being poisoned, sterilized, and maimed. Young females ages 12 to 17 having their breasts removed increased 13-fold between 2013 and 2020 and continues to increase. The number of children ages 6 to 17 placed on puberty blockers and hormones over a 5-year period more than doubled to 1,400 and 4,200 respectively. And those stats don't include my provider, Kaiser, the biggest chop shop on the West Coast. These are not microscopic numbers. Don't blame my parents who were coerced into consenting because puberty blockers, testosterone, and surgeries were the only treatment offered to address my cutting suicidal ideation and inability to function. Not one provider explored my autistic traits. Not one stepped in to consider if my childhood sexual abuse was the reason I wanted to shed my female body. Not one said your daughter is perfect the way she is. Now that would be considered hateful. This bill is designed to protect medical providers who harmed me and are harming other children who run away to this state under SB 107 or who violate safeguarding laws in their own states. All of you should be panicked and ashamed as you sit in silence or look at me with venom. Vote no.
I am Beth Bourne of Our Duty. My daughter believed that she was a transgender boy. She was so adamant that she convinced a court to change her name and sex marker on her birth certificate against my challenge. She was 15. She also begged for hormones and to have her breasts removed, and I refused consent. She is now 19, never medicalized, and has embraced her female body. She was never transgender. No one is. No one. Gender identity is a canard or a false belief. This is why you must vote no on SB 497. How brazen and foolish of the senator to admit in his bill that it is his intent to violate President Trump's executive orders. Haven't you been paying attention? Parents like me are filling the FTC's and DOJ's tip lines with evidence of how this state is sacrificing children and vulnerable adults to the transgender agenda. Do you really think your former colleague, Bill Asaley, and his boss, Harmeet Dillon, who is also my former attorney, are unaware of your intentional violations of executive orders and federal law? And that they will not strike back with the force of the supreme law of this nation, which, in case you have forgotten, is the U.S. Constitution? The full faith and credit clause requires that each state honor the public acts and judicial proceedings of other states. This is a constitutional mandate that has held our union together for over 2 centuries. SB 497 directly violates this principle by interfering with the legitimate authority of out-of-state courts and other governmental actors to access records of medical treatments, as well as track testosterone, a Schedule III drug that carries with it the risk of liver cancer, increased heart attacks, incontinence, infertility, and a whole host of other lifelong ailments. For what purpose are you protecting the drug prescribers who are harming female bodies? Vote no on SB 497.
Okay, that completes opposition testimony. Other Me Too's come forward at this time. Please state your name, your organization, and your position, which is presumably to oppose.
David Bullock, Serving Family Values and Moms for Liberty. We are in opposition. Thank you.
Greg Bird, Vice President of the California Family Council, in strong opposition. Thank you.
Thank you both. Final call. Anyone else hoping to be heard on the bill? Okay, seeing no affirmative response, we're going to turn it back to the dais now for questions or comments. Does any member of the committee have a question or a comment to either Mr. Wiener or any of the witnesses? Mr. Haney.
Thank you to the author and the sponsors. I think in our state, when people access health care, whatever that is, they expect that to be between them and their doctor. And unfortunately and tragically, what we're seeing right now are people being criminalized for seeking certain types of care or for providing that care. And we shouldn't be in this place where we actually have to take additional measures to protect people's data. Every single one of us, whether it's gender-affirming care, whether it's any care that we get, whatever is prescribed to us, we don't expect that to be made available to someone who wants to create a law that criminalizes us or our doctors. That's what's happening right now, and it's terrifying. And for California to not have adequate protections right now to ensure that when people are accessing that care, when they are getting that treatment, they know that it's protected, I think is dangerous in this climate. And so appreciate the leadership in coming forward and making sure that if there's a court order, if there's a subpoena, that's a different situation, but sharing this type of information that can put people at risk, that can criminalize them simply for doing their job or receiving treatment, I think is incredibly dangerous, and especially right now as it relates to protecting trans people, gender nonconforming people who are receiving care. This is incredibly important protection, and I'll move the bill.
All right, before we proceed, we have a motion. Is there a second? We have a second by Wynn. Let's continue. Other questions or comments from committee members? Seeing none, Senator Wiener, would you like to provide a brief closing statement?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Colleagues, earlier this morning, we talked extensively about the fascism arising in this country and what it's doing in terms of attacking and tearing apart immigrant communities. And we have, at the same time, a broad-based attack on the very existence of transgender people. This bill is about California stepping up to protect these members of our community, and I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Well, thank you very much, Senator Wiener. You do have my aye recommendation. We've been talking all day about accountability, so let me be clear. My name's Nick Schultz. I'm recommending an aye, and I'll be voting aye today. With that, let's call the roll.
On item number 13, SB 497 by Senator Wiener, the motion is due pass to the Appropriations Committee. Schultz. Aye. Schultz, aye. Alanis. Gonzalez. Haney. Haney, aye. Harbedian. Lackey. No. Lackey, no. Wen. Wen, aye. Ramos. Ramos, aye. Sharp Collins. Measures on call. It needs one.
Okay, that measure remains on call. We'll let you know the outcome, Senator Wiener. Thank you, Senator. Thank you to all of our witnesses today.